like again to say a big thank you to Jess. Jess has again with us too since not really when we launched, but very closely after. I have worked with Jess in the past for many years. He's a wonderful man. When he reached out earlier this year, earlier this year, like in the summer, he said, "I'm working something. I can't tell you. It's going to be big. I'm very excited." And then when we launched Online Race Industry Week, he said, "I want to be part of this, and I want to do something special. So put us on." And so it is 3 o'clock. We have been running this by the minute. So John Kilroy, you're in charge. I'll see you guys very soon.
Merci, Francisque. So welcome to the webinar, Total announces ELF Racing Fuels coming to the United States by Hyperfuels and Total. We have with us Jess Hewitt with Hyperfuel, Nora Weinberg with Total Specialties USA, Didier Bedell, Total Specialties USA. And before we get to the big announcement, I'd like to maybe just spend a few minutes sharing the companies. So if somebody doesn't know what Hyperfuel is, Total, let's get that out of the way now, and then we'll get to the big announcement. So Jess, tell us something about Hyperfuel. Jess,
great to be with you. So Hyperfuels is a internet fuel company that I started before 1998 on a bet that we could sell fuel on the internet and have UPS and FedEx deliver it. So we won the bet, and we've been working with that company ever since. And we've done some race fuel distribution out of Houston, Texas.
Okay. And then Nora, just so you know, it looks like your mute option is on. There you go. Okay. And then when it comes to Total, Didier, do you want to talk about Total? And I'll get to Nora.
Well, I think Nora can elaborate a little more on that in a couple of slides, maybe. Or
sure, I can share my screen. Hopefully it works. I'm going to hit the button and hope for the best here.
So in the meantime, presenting Total, regardless of where we are, if we are on the right side of the pond, we say Total. If you're on the left side, you say Total. So this is just an international company with about 100,000 people spread around all around the world in 100 or so countries.
Wow.
And from upstream to downstream, with something like probably 19,000 gas stations or petrol stations in the world, from Puerto Rico to South Africa, and definitely not in the United States. No, it's all yours now.
All right, so I'm very happy to be here with you all, and happy to announce here at the Epartrade Racing Industry Week that Total will be introducing the ELF brand of racing fuels and lubricants in the United States. Total is a refiner and an oil major. For anyone who may not know that, I know a lot of our international people will. We're really committed to energy transition in many sectors, and always looking to the future to be ahead of the turns that the market will take. That kind of focus on stimulating technical innovation, it also feeds our passion for motorsports, where Total is a major player with a long racing history behind us and a bright future ahead in racing. Total, through its ELF brand, continues to offer historic know-how, and starting today, we'll offer you a commercial range of racing fuels and lubricants through our new partner, Hyperfuels. Yes.
So, Nora, thank you for that introduction. I wanted to tell you that I learned about Total, that they were bringing fuel to the World Endurance Championship here in the United States, and I was very intrigued. We haven't had a real refiner making racing fuel here since 2014, when Shell left the racing fuel business. Total, the refiner, is offering a full line of racing fuels for all sorts of engines, fuels that we use by most of the best engine makers worldwide. And I believe that Total's fuels will be accepted very well here in the United States.
You're on mute, Nora.
Got it. Thanks, Jess. We are currently supplying fuel for the GT America Championship since 2020. This year was our first year doing that. It was quite an adventure dealing with COVID and races canceled and moved across the country, different venues than we originally planned. We also do support various OEM and testing centers around the world with testing fuels for racing and other applications. So moving ahead here, there we go. While Total is not quite a household name in the US, we do have gas station networks almost everywhere else around the world, and we are a major energy player. Total is kept pace with the evolution of engine technology by producing new and innovative fuels and fuel additives. In Europe, the most innovative is our Total Excellium. It's a premium pump fuel found in SP98, equivalent more or less to like a Shell V-Power that you would find in the US. The key point in all these numbers really is that Total is an oil company and a refiner with a massive R&D budget for fuels. And I'll let Jess tell a little more about what that means for his company and how he feels he can bring that experience best.
Thanks, Nora. So what I want to bring up here is that the global coverage of Total. Here are the key figures. You can see the figures up at the very top, but I want to direct your attention all the way down to the bottom right. 1 billion euros spent on R&D in 2019. This is a major factor in what drives me, because I know that racing fuel sometimes has a tough time keeping up with engine technology. So when I vetted Total, I vetted their R&D. We're going to hear about how they make the fuels, but to me, the best thing about a fuel is that we're using the most up-to-date fuel that we can use for the most up-to-date engine technology that's out there. Think of it, we want the fuels to keep track with engine technology, and I'm so happy that Total is bringing their fuels here to the United States.
Wonderful, thanks, Jess. So moving on here to slide 3, it's just a little bit of information about Total Specialties USA. We are an American company. We're an affiliate of the global Total group. In many ways, our US customers end up getting kind of the best of both worlds. We have the resources of the global group, but we function in a more lean manner in the US. For example, we have just under 150 employees. When you call us on the phone, you get a human that answers the phone. For my experience within the company, I've been with Total Specialties USA for just under 10 years. I come from the lubricants group, managed the customer service group. And so I can say with experience and knowledge that we have humans answering the phone that are people that have been with the company for a long time, that really know our accounts and take really good care of our customers in a way that you're really not going to find generally at other majors. That being said, our strongest relationships are with our distributors, and we rely on them to serve a network around the United States. When you call, the other thing to think about is when you have a technical issue, you're calling an American company and you're speaking with Americans that will understand your issue and help translate back to our expertise in France. So you don't have to go directly to the source. There's no language barrier. That kind of thing can be very helpful. Moving on, I'm going to go just a little bit into our organizational chart. You can see where we fall within the group since we are quite a large company. We fall within the marketing services group right here. So you can see we have refining and chemicals, marketing and services, upstream, and then gas, renewables, and power. We have these divisions on all of the different continents. In the Americas, we fall within the lubricants and specialties group, and then additives and special fuels. We do work very closely with the special fluids group based out of Houston and the lubricants group based out of Linden, New Jersey. Here we are going to go into a little bit. These are the different products that the additives and special fuels product line all has. The one we're going to mainly focus on is here in blue for racing. But just to let you know what we have, since we're here and talking to everyone, we do have oil field production additives, refining additives, performance additives, and industrial fuels. Industrial fuels are kind of an interesting batch. We do first fill fuels. We're proud to serve the Volkswagen Audi group in the Americas, including Volkswagen Chattanooga here in the USA, with their first fill fuel that goes in all of their cars. We also do testing fuels for research and homologation. The main thing that we're going to talk about here today is our pedigree in the racing fuel area. So here we're going to get into a little bit more detail about how these racing fuels are produced. They're quite fabulous. They're very special, and they come from a site in France. We're going to get into a little bit more detail on that in the next slide, but I just wanted to share from my experience that it really is an impressive facility. I went and visited and had some training there. It's noticeably clean, like sparkling clean. In America, it's hard to find what they call a snake pit that clean that I've seen, at least in my experience with the company so far. It's also an interesting facility in that they have complete parity between the genders of who's employed there. So for myself as a woman in the racing industry, I haven't seen that very often. And they have women there employed in all different areas, including the lab. Actually, the person who's probably one of the biggest experts in France on our fuels is a woman named Lisa Serre. And it's really a special building where they work together very closely with the R&D facility, the plant, a refinery nearby. And we're going to get into a little bit more detail there. To do that, DA Bedell to come back online, our technical expert, a bit more authority. So I'm going to mute myself.
Thank you, Nora. So yes, I mean, as Nora said, this is a very nice plant. It's actually a blending facility. That means that we have the refining producing bases just at a stone throw, which is really next door. So we can benefit from the refinery there, get all the bases we want. If we don't get the bases we need from this refinery, we have a dozen refineries all around the world. We have one in Germany. We have a couple of them in France. So that works pretty well. Then the good thing too is that we have the research center for the fuels that is in the same triangle. So that means that we have people, engineers that make the fuel, that start with mathematical models, and they can develop a new fuel, create new fuels based on the engine. And then they have, when they have all the basic or the basis knowledge about fuels, this is transferred to the plant where we have development engineers. So that means that the people who can benefit from the research center, they can develop for you a fuel that is exactly that will fit the specifications you need. So this is a state-of-the-art plant. This is, as Nora said, it's a 10 or 15-year-old plant. I mean, it's very nice and shiny and very nice thing with about 130 tanks. So that means that you have dedicated tanks for each and every product. And this is pretty good because actually what we want is we want to have repeatability. We want to have a product that is today what it was yesterday and what it will be tomorrow, because you don't want to have a quality of fuel that is something in Australia and then you move to the United States and it starts being different. So you really want stability and quality, and this is how we do that, and to be able to actually deliver an ISO 9001 quality fuel. And this is what we do. Nora, if you can go to the next one, please. And okay, I thought there was another one. So
well, there were two, but you were covering them simultaneously, so I switched back and forth a little.
Something that is also interesting, and Jess mentioned the budget we have for research. What we also have is that we have research engineers or research scientists in the research center. And very often what they do is that when they change jobs, they go to the production plant and they do the development based on what they have learned and what they know about, well, say, combustion speed, octane, etc., whatever you need. They apply that to formulate the new fuels that are needed for the new engines. So this is basically how we do it, from research to development and eventually production, to get the quality you need. Nora, I think I can go back to you now.
Thank you, Didier. Thank you for that excellent explanation there. Here, I'm going to go into a little bit of a history of the ELF brand. So the timeline's a little small here. I printed myself a cheat sheet so I could read it to you guys. In 1920, we had the creation of Petrofina, which was ultimately acquired by Total. There's several things that happened in between with the French Petroleum Company, I don't want to butcher it with my French accent, but the Société Nationale des Pétroles d'Aquitaine. In 1954, the Total brand launched. 1967, we launched the ELF brand. By 1982, Total was in 80 countries. In 1989 is when we merged Total and FINA. 2001, Total, FINA, and ELF merged. And in 2003, we merged all the names together just into the Total group. So today, ELF is the brand of Total. The brand has always had racing in its DNA. Actually, the facility that Didier was just speaking about is the original ELF building. So we really maintained, when they did that transition years ago, the people that worked there, the knowledge that worked there, and the actual facility itself has been in our group in that same location. So it's quite natural that the Total's group brand strategy has made this choice to offer for a range of competition products, really truly for professional racing. ELF today includes the racing fuels and lubricants. For the US, what this means is the HTX racing range for lubricants. In other parts of the world, they do have some historic ELF products that are not for professional racing, just for basic motorcycles and things. The ELF Moto line, we don't carry that here. We're here just to talk about professional racing. So we do have normal lubricants and things like that. We have a Total line of lubricants that are available in the US, and Jess can talk to you about those if you want them as well. It's just not what we're mostly here to just only talk about professional racing. So moving on a little bit, we have our OEM partners in racing under the brands either Total or ELF, depending on the marketing strategy of who we're working with. Some of our OEM partners include Aston Martin Racing, PSA Motorsport, Peugeot, Citroën, and DS Performance, Alpine Signatech, Kawasaki. Together we collaborate. We have other OEMs we can't mention because they prefer that we not mention it, and we work with them privately, which is fine too. Together we collaborate on engineering developments such as engine design, engine bench tests, and field tests. Thanks to years of research, partnerships, and innovation in the field of motorsport, ELF products allow us to put our expertise directly at your service. Let's see. Skipped ahead too far, sorry. Okay, so in addition to working directly with OEMs, Total is an esteemed fuel and lubricant supplier for many international championships. We work with over 20 world championships and over 170 international destinations. Here in the US, we're proud to supply the SRO GT America Series. And we do that with one of our partners, a company called Evolve, who provides all of the at-track service, works really closely with us to make sure that it's, everything's taken care of, white glove service, basically. So here's just a list of some of the organizations we've been a part of over the years and still are, the ones that are in bold. The F1 fuels we grayed out because we're no longer involved, but we were involved for so long, it's almost not right to say something about it. Moving on to the next slide, we're proud to be one of the only, if not the only, oil company to offer the widest range of racing products. When I say the widest range, it doesn't mean that we have hundreds of different racing fuels. What it means is we cover the widest range of applications with a relatively concise number of fuels. As of right now, we have about 15 in our range, and we pretty much have something for any type of racing that you could need. It's an offer that evolved sort of indirectly thanks to the technical spin-offs of our R&D and our partnerships with people. And that's one thing that we're really excited about with the US. I've been working on this for about a year and a half, just under 2 years, on the additives and special fuels line. And we started reaching out to our existing partners and distributors and people that we worked with, and to see people like Jess, to see what do you want to see in an American range for ELF, and not just to repeat what we do in Europe, but to bring that experience to this market and make it work here. So we're very motivated to work with Jess and do that. And here I'd actually like to kind of hand it over to Jess and introduce him as the newest dot on this map of where our distributors are located here in Houston, and hand it over to Jess to kind of talk a little bit from here.
Thank you, Nora. Yeah, small dot for a big country. So here we are, one of the new 50 distributors. You put the slide back up, please. And I got to tell you that here we are, global coverage, worldwide company. I'll just keep talking. And here we are bringing the global fuels to the United States for the first time. This is such an exciting thing for me because we're bringing fuels that have a good R&D. They've got a good DNA from racing history, and they're going to be bringing them here. Technologically advanced fuels for advanced engine technology. So we're very excited about this. Thank you, Nora. You go to the next slide. Okay, so here's a shot of the fuels that are going to be available in the United States. And as you go down the list, you'll see some are listed as 2-stroke, 4-stroke. I want you to pay attention to the application and the octane. So because they're coming to the United States, we had to get them to use our octane number, which they call anti-knock index, AKI. So you see the research octane number, and then you'll see the AKI number. That's the R+M/2 that we use here in the United States. So you can see that a lot of these are set up for turbocharged engines, 2-stroke and 4-stroke. And as we go down the list, we're going to come to the vintage racing. So you'll see autos and 2-strokes, and you go to Moto, which they have some very good motorcycle fuels. And the Atmo vintage, and the other vintage products are very good and are known worldwide for vintage use. Down there at the very bottom, you have an ethanol E85 race. So these are all very good products that will have very good uses here in the United States. And I'm so happy that they're coming because I think engine builders will be able to pick them up and use them. Can we advance to the next slide? Okay, great. So these fuels here that we have listed are more in the racing line or in the diesel racing line. So we expect to be bringing these over at some time, but we're going to need to see that we have demand for the products. And, you know, I see the little ELF kegs and drums up there. I got to tell you, these ELF kegs and drums, the kegs are 15 gallons. The drums, of course, are the standard 55 gallon. But the silk screen printing on them is just phenomenal. They do look very great at the racetrack. All right, one more slide, please, Nora. So because this is a new fuel, we're going to be having some webinars, and hopefully we can use our partners at Epartrade to help us set up these webinars. These are new fuels to the United States. So you're going to want to know a lot about them. We plan on having webinars for each type of engine and to show you the fuels and the application range. In addition, we're going to be supplying the HTX racing lubricants, which are for competition engines. So we'll have a separate webinar for those HTX lubricants as well. And if you could advance to the next slide, please. So how do you get information? So we've set up on Epartrade, thanks to our partners there, a Total ELF site where you can go directly there and see all the product information. If you have a question or want to get set up to look at these products, just go directly to the Have Questions site at the very bottom and click on Ask Total ELF directly. You can also contact Hyperfuels. We have a site on Epartrade as well, and we've given you our direct line and our email address as well. So I do want to thank Epartrade and our new partners at Total for making this happen. You know, Epartrade, Francisque knows that he had a hand in this, because I went to him and asked who's bringing over these fuels for the SRO. He referred me to a Frenchman at the FIA, and they referred me to Total, and then I got to Nora, and that's how this deal made happen. So thanks very much to Epartrade. Nora, I'll let you close up the presentation.
Sure. Yeah, we have some time to answer any questions that you guys might have. I also want to really thank Francisque, because of what just described, for putting us together. Really appreciate a fellow Frenchman thinking of his, you know, country and the companies that they offer and putting them together with people in the US. We appreciate that. And yeah, we're here to answer any questions that you might have. I'm taking a look at the chat now. Didier, it looks like it might be a question for you, asking, do you guys run 106 to 112 range fuel? And how does your fuel beat out bigger names such as VP and Sunoco branded fuels? Anxious to find out, or have you a part of my shop, always about trying and testing something new. Thank you very much. That was from Braden. Appreciate that. And I can start to take this from a not so technical, or Didier can maybe take over from a technical from the start.
I will just do a very quick answer on this one. Yes, we have fuels that go in the higher ranges of the octane number. So it depends upon you're talking about AKI or RON or MON, of course. Yes, we have fuels that go in this range of numbers. The key point I would like to outline today is that, or to emphasize today, that we don't necessarily focus on the octane number, because we'll go beyond octane. If you want a 133 octane, you just buy methanol, for example. But you won't use methanol, or yes, you may. Some federations did that in the USA. But you're looking beyond the octane number. You're also looking in terms of energy content. You're discussing the speed of combustion in the engine. You're looking for the engine mapping as well. So it is not only octane. We try to present fuels that go a little beyond just the octane number. It's not an octane race.
Thank you, Didier. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're going to we have another session just in 4 minutes. Jess wanted to, when he came on board, it was a little bit too late to get to the whole 50 minutes, but we have the Epartrade Live Tech webinars that run weekly. We have put that on hold to produce online Race Industry Week, but early 2021 we'll go back to our weekly live webinars that run for 1 hour every Wednesday. And Jess has already asked if he could be part of it, so we'll see you soon again. So thank you very much. We're excited for you guys. Jess is really a good partner for you, and I think I wish you all the very best. So stay.
I want to step in too and just say thank you. This is a real trade show moment to have the announcement that ELF Racing is coming to the United States, a great traditional, historical brand name in racing. And now this racing fuel technology is coming to the States. I want to welcome Total to the United States racing industry. And we look forward to working with you some more and working with Jess at Hyperfuel. Thank you very much for being part of Online Race Industry Week.
Please stay with us. We're going to move you as attendee, and we're going to promote our next panelist into the screen. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Registering on Epartrade is easy. Fill out your name, email, phone number, and create a secure password. Next, select your business type. Choose supplier if you're looking to display products or services and connect with buyers. Choose racing business if you're looking to find new parts and connect with suppliers. Choose race team if you own or are a member of a professional racing team. Begin typing your company name. We most likely already have your company in our database, which you can select from the drop-down. Then, enter your job title. Choose Claim Company if you'll be editing your company profile. Other members of your company can choose Join Company if they'd like to use Epartrade as well. You can view and agree to our terms of use here. If you'd like to receive our weekly newsletter, choose Accept. Click Register Now, and your registration will be submitted for approval. You'll need to confirm your email once it goes through. To keep our platform industry only, you'll be approved shortly after. If we require additional proof of business, we'll reach out. Welcome to Epartrade.